Everyone, so this is part 2 of the fidget spinner 5-part series, and now we are on to extruding our fidget spinner body. So in the last video we created this beautiful sketch right here of our fidget spinners, and now it's time for the fun part to see it come to life and extrude this. So what we're going to do is click on the extrude button on the top right here. And now we have to select what we want to extrude. Now this part is very important. I'm going to zoom in a little closer so you could see. We want to make sure that we only extrude everything but the inner holes. So we don't want to extrude this. We don't want to extrude this. And we do not want to extrude this, right? We want those holes to have nothing in them. We want them to be hollow. We don't want any material filling up these holes. So let me get rid of that. So that is what not to do. What to do is click on this body part right here, right? So that's okay that this is highlighted here. And we want something that looks like that. And now what we want to do, as you'll see here, this is still hollow, is we want to fill in the rest of this circle so it goes completely around. So you're not going to click in here, right? Because it's going to do that. But what we do want to do is click on that donut of the circle. All right, so not just the inner, both the inner and the outer. So it looks like this. And you're going to do that for all 3 of these holes. So it looks something like that. All right, so that is what your fidget spinner should look like so far. So I'll just spin around again. So none of these holes should be filled. If something's filled, you could always go over here and click one of the X's and figure out which one is the hole that you filled. All right, so we want all of these to be hollow. So once you're good with that, we're going to rename this extrusion and name it spinner body so we know if we have to go back to it and change something that we can. All right. Then what we're going to do is just change the depth. Okay, so right now it says 1 inches, which is kind of tall, right? So if we're looking at this, it's kind of up there. So we're going to drop it down to 0.35, which is actually the standard size of a fidget spinner. And if we look at it now, it definitely looks better, right? It's not as high up and it looks more legit. So now what we're going to do is click that green check mark and we are good. Now the only other thing that we're going to do in this part is round out these edges here, okay, in the outer edges, not the inner edges. So again, we don't want to mess up those beautiful circular holes yet. We just want to do it on the outer part of this fidget spinner, where your hand goes, right? Because we don't want anything sharp or right now this is kind of rigid for your hand to lay on. We want this to have, the safety factor, right? We don't want this to be dangerous for anyone to touch. So we want to round out and smooth out the edges like we've done with our other intro projects. So to do that again, we're going to click on that fillet tool up on the top. And we are going to fillet the edges, which I'm going to change this first so you can see, to 0.1. And click enter. Now we have to click on an entity to fillet. So as soon as you see this here, you'll see that only this line glows yellow, right? You're going to be like, oh, Ms. Dulce, that's only that one part, that one little curve there. Like, I don't want that. I want to do all the parts at once, right? Of course. Boom. Which is great, but like I said before, remember I said we don't want to round these little circles, right? Because we want those bearings to fit in there nice and snug. So this, like we did here, yes, it looked like it was going to fill everything in, right? But if we go back and see how that's highlighted yellow, even the inside is highlighted yellow. So that's not good. So we want to actually click on that one arc line and you'll see there that'll only round out the outside how we want it. All right, so again, you want to only click on that one arc. It might look like it's only gonna round out that one spot, but it actually rounds out the whole entire thing rather than everything. All right, so we only want the outside. Do not arc the inside or flatten or fillet the inside. That's not what we want. So then once you get the top all good to go, you could flip it to the bottom. All right, so the same thing, you're gonna click on that one edge, should highlight, and it'll smooth out the bottom of your fidget spinner. Right, so you want to make sure, even with the bottom, that you're not smoothing out these holes. It's extremely important when we get to assembly. So after that, you're good to go. You can rename this as well to spinner body. Click the check mark, and your spinner should look like this. If your spinner has those rounded edges inside of those holes, please make sure to fix that before we get on to the next part, and especially before we get to assembly so we can fit those bearings in.